RWP is brought to you by Porch Beer Entertainment.
But no, we are making our glorious return to tempting the Titan, which I'm excited about because it's been a while. I was refreshing myself on the.
I got through. I've read 7 through 9 already, like before, and I was trying to refresh it. I got up to about 8 of like refreshed knowledge, so 9 will probably come to me as we're going through it. But I forget it. This book is insane because it switches so quickly from like, well, not even, there was barely any plot to begin with, but it's like everything you heard about doesn't matter. And then there's just this weird fixation on golf.
Yeah. That is one of the weird, because I went back because I was trying to remember. I was
no point was it ever brought up except for then like he apparently is literally tour level good. Like,
yeah, he's amazing at it.
Go to for our listeners who don't know golf, I don't know golf that much. I know enough.
Yeah.
But basically, to get onto the Pro Tour, you have to qualify in the Korn Ferry Tour.
Right.
And you have to shoot a certain score, do this sort of stuff. Based on what we know, Atlas could be a professional golfer.
Easily. Apparently. And like,
it's not like him being a Titan is stopping that, I guess. Because like they have the weird rule of no law enforcement, and no profession, like they can't play sports in high school, but he could just leave Screaming Woods unless the FBI has a lockdown on his position. It's just, but the weird in-depth like golf training montage it is just buck wild. It's out of
that's coming up. I think it's this chapter.
It is this chapter. That's why.
It's chapter 7. And so again, if you want to follow along, again, the book is called Tempting the Titan. It's a monster light, spicy romance. The author is Fern Fraser. And so if this is for some reason your first time listening, go back and listen to the other 2 episodes because we cover chapters 1 through 6 over the last couple episodes. And basically, if you recall, where we kind of left off was, basically things were in a situation where, of course, we've got Celeste, we've got Atlas. Celeste is working for Atlas. Where we left off last time was, as you mentioned with the golf, Celeste had told Atlas about her neighbor throwing a golf day type deal as like a get together with your neighbor type activity. She asked Atlas to kind of help teach her how to golf and to like come to it with her. And he was originally like, no. And then eventually he spilled the beans about his monster type of like background, like who he really is, his transformations. Remember, he wears these like metal clasps around his muscles, and
giant exoskeleton brace that is, because he wears such tight tailored suits, is like probably visible, and it just looks like a lineman wearing knee braces under their tight pants.
100%. So he told her, and
it also
so
doesn't
she knows
work
now.
all the way. He's just like,
it
contains it, but anything can trigger him, emotions or physical.
And he's like very afraid of like it being triggered by being around her and all this sort of stuff. But he told her, and then we ended up last chapter where like he and his buddy Knox were investigating something, and they ended up being near Celeste's house, and she had like an open window with like her shirt off. It was very weird. It was a whole weird scene.
Super weird.
But
and
go back
saw him, it was this whole thing. So now we kick off basically. It's after that big reveal. Things are now awkward, and it kind of jumps in as, over the next few days, Atlas ensures he's out of the office as much as possible. First of all, that's his full-time job, right?
Also,
income.
It says he works from home, and keep in mind, as they've told us, his home is upstairs.
1 floor up from
so she can literally and he's 1 million pounds probably, and so like if she's coming into the office
upstairs,
she can literally hear that he's upstairs all the time. So it's kind of.
And then I love this line. He works from home or is vague about his whereabouts, but keeps his distance. I don't know about you, but I feel like for the job that they're in, they need to be in closer proximity. But like, imagine if
they're doing investigations. They kind of need to be in communication.
But like, imagine if like you were working, and you obviously like some bosses, am I right? Who needs them? But like for the most part, if you need to run something up to your boss, or like you need to talk to your boss about something, and your boss is vague and keeps his whereabouts
Yeah.
unknown and doesn't talk to you, is that an effective workplace?
No.
Probably not.
No, it's
No,
already a very ineffective workplace in general. In
as
the
it is
place.
already, yeah, for this weird financial crimes private investigator firm where he just decided to dip out from work because he doesn't want to see her or talk to her.
So he eventually, excuse me, comes into the office, and he has a brand new set of golf clubs. And she says, she apologizes because, again, there was some awkwardness when she invited him to the golf thing, and he was like, I don't know if I can really even do that, and I guess she felt bad
opens up
about
the
it.
chapter being like, I'm gonna tell him it's canceled.
Yeah,
Like
I'm gonna, because he I guess he doesn't want to be exposed like that out in the public. I don't know, but
I don't know, but if I was at the local golf course and I saw a 7-foot man shooting
yeah.
4 under par, I would be like, huh.
It would be a sight to behold. And so he
think about
does.
the people at that golf course being like, oh, he just launched another 485-yard drive.
I mean, the guy's got to hit it so far, like unbelievably
laying
far.
lumber.
So he does a complete 180 here. He waltzes. So
He's
after
in to win it.
after weeks of like ignoring her and being like her being like, hey, where are you? And him being like, you don't need to know that or whatever. Like
need to know basis.
He comes in with golf clubs and he says, if we're going to win this tournament, we need to practice. And then they spend the next few days practicing as much as possible.
First of all, this starts the golf training montage. So imagine any movie you've seen where it's like the music plays in the background and it's just cutscenes of them like her swinging a golf club 100 times, her chipping, her putting. But this is wild because he teaches me how to chip a ball into a coffee mug. Okay, so chipping is like a little short range. Like if you were to just like picture kicking a soccer ball into a bucket.
Right.
That's kind of like a chip.
Right.
And first of all, she's chipping a ball into a coffee mug, which is tiny. She misses the shot 9 times out of 10. So she makes it 1 out of 10 times. Do you have any idea how impressive that is?
It would probably take me 75 times to maybe get it in once. Like that's
to go
insane.
Perfectly up and down. And I was just like, that's already insane that she's able to do that.
For somebody who's never golfed before.
Ever. Once in their life, and she's doing it 1 time out of 10. That's insanity, first of
all. I like
how
also that's like what part of the training. It's like this is like a neighborhood friendly golf tournament. I don't think she needs to be chipping balls into a coffee mug to prepare for that. Maybe just teach her like, hey, here's how to hit a drive.
Here's how to swing and make contact with the ball. Instead, the standards are so high. That's like what Tiger Woods does for commercials, like a trick shot.
Yes.
That's a trick shot.
It's a trick shot. Because when is this skill going to actually come in handy? Because are you chipping a ball? I mean, I assume, are they doing this in the office? So it's not like she's chipping off of grass.
Indoors, first of all. Chipping it into, it's insane. And so then then she goes, when he thinks she's ready. So apparently sometime during that montage, maybe after the first time she
chipped it into the coffee mug. I think she's ready to play the entire game of golf
actually step foot onto the course. So what's even crazier is they started with the chipping into a golf, the hardest thing possible. And then he's like, now you're ready to go out and actually try swinging.
She's going to think like that's golf. It's like, wait, where's the mug? She's going to be like, wait, why am I so far away from the hole?
He's explaining the rules to her on the golf course. She's half listening because she's like, his voice is amazing.
Mesmerizing.
And so he's like, are you even listening? We're trying to win a golf tournament here.
He's like, are you kidding me?
And he's like standing on the green. They're like doing this whole stuff. He's like, I can't believe you have a handicap of +6. You're a golfing god. I feel like his handicap was lower last time. I can't remember.
Yeah. And
Either
again,
way, that's a scratch golfer. He's
a 6 handicap, again, means, if I'm trying to see how best to explain this. So basically, you average around 6 shots higher than what par is on like any average golf course, for example. So like and again, par, for those who don't know golf, is the exact amount of shots the
average handicap for a male golfer is 16.
Yeah. I mean, I'm probably a +25 handicap. He is basically, as you said, like, I mean, you go watch any sort of golf tournament or things like that. Guys are like,
it means he can hit par, like he can actually golf under par.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's crazy. So she's like, yeah, I can't believe you have a handicap. You're a golfing god. It's like, yeah, I guess he is, especially considering we haven't heard about golf for the entire book until right now. She's flustered, her heart's pounding for some reason, and then he's like, all right, let's work on your grip. Which, again, if she's been chipping for the last 3 days, I would think you would have showed her how to hold a golf club at this point, but he decides to show her now. Hold it with your left hand. Rest your right hand in front of your left, ensuring your palms face each other. And then he tells her to do that, and he's like, "Let's practice your swing." And so I guess they're putting right now. That's what they're doing. So they're putting. And Atlas.
Okay, so my handicap is 16.4.
Okay, so yeah,
I have it on an app.
Right.
So yeah, he's great.
He's incredible.
He's incredible.
So
Anyway,
he shows her the grip for putting.
I guess it's putting.
Yeah,
She
it is,
swings
because
at
then
some point,
he says, because then it says Atlas goes first, tapping the ball ever so gently, and it rolls straight into the hole. Of course it does.
Yeah, why wouldn't it?
And then she tries to focus on the ball, takes a swing and miss. So let me just back up for a second. So again, they've only been training for a couple days, but he's trained her to the point where she can chip a ball into a coffee mug 1 out of 10 times, but yet when she goes to putt a ball, she misses it twice in a row.
Yeah, it like whiffs it completely.
It doesn't make sense.
Yeah, and then he's just like giving her golf tips.
Yeah,
keep your head
your head down.
Follow through. Yeah, we've heard it a million times.
And she's like sneaking a little look at him, and she's getting happy. And
but now she has a driver in her hands.
Right.
So at some point now, she has a driver, which is what you use to hit the ball a long way. So she's gripping the driver. Like she's just like geeking out because she's like, oh my God, he's teaching
And he literally
me.
was just putting.
They were just putting.
Yeah, and now she's driving.
So
but she's not driving. Because she said, whoa. We just discovered something. Because she just says, I grip the driver tightly, but then look 2 paragraphs later, it says, centering myself, I tap the ball, but it curves off to the right instead of going straight towards the hole.
So she's putting with the driver.
Okay, so that's what's happening then.
I guess. Well, which makes no sense because
But he bought a brand new set of golf clubs for her.
See, and this is the part that's killing me, and it's we're spending way too much time on this. But
golf doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense, and the person who's like, I feel like they have like a peripheral knowledge of what golf is, but I feel like the author has never played golf because traditionally you would never use a driver on the green to putt.
Right, exactly.
Ever, really, unless you snap your putter in half.
And if you're trying to teach somebody how to golf, why are you teaching them to do it with the wrong clubs and they would be using?
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's like maybe he's a shitty golfer. She's like set up this whole thing where I don't think she understands what the handicap stuff is. She made him an incredible golfer,
right,
and now he's making her putt with a driver.
And she's missing the ball.
And she's missing it.
A driver head is huge. It doesn't make sense.
It's insane. So So
also the way he described the hands is she's definitely right-handed, and she taps the ball and it curves off to the right, which is that doesn't even make sense either.
She was just aiming the wrong way. There's so many. It makes me so angry because now she's introduced a variable that we don't need.
Yeah.
And he's like some golf god.
Why couldn't she just ask somebody who knows golf, like, hey, can you help me with this section or something? Like, couldn't she get a little help on the writing side?
Oh, because, but then she has a putter again. Because if you go to the next page 73, the ball hits the edge of the putter and flies into the bushes. First of all, she's swinging this putter so hard that it's leaving the ground and flying into the bushes. Okay, bushes aren't on the golf course, the green area where the hole is. Bushes are normally like
usually pretty far back. There's a gap.
So she's just like...
So she's either missing the ball with her driver, and now she's swinging her putter so hard that the ball is flying into the woods. And she's getting frustrated. She wants to, like we all are on the golf course sometimes, she wants to slam her club down and throw a tantrum, but she drops her club and starts picking up the balls, because I guess, again, they were like practicing on a green or something like that.
Here's where we come to the next 12 paragraphs highlighted for me.
This is fantastic. This is we're starting off, again, and I will tell you people, there's some wild stuff in this section that we're reading. This is one of the funniest parts.
It's just, so she basically gets frustrated. she grabs a bunch of golf balls on the
Uh-huh.
ground. So first of all, they're doing this. This is a course, right? So you're not really supposed to. You can hit a couple balls to practice, but like unless the course is not busy and deserted,
Right.
like it's a weird thing to do is to just bring out a bunch of stuff and just practice on a hole. Like you're not supposed to do that. Anyway, she grabs a handful of balls. She tosses them in the air, watching in awe, like she's surprised
Yeah.
as they rotate in a perfect arc and then fall back in her hand. So,
Uh-huh.
and no one's watching the video, but
Yeah.
essentially all she did is throw the golf ball in the air and catch it in her hand again.
Multiple balls. Because she had a handful.
Yeah, so 3, and they just go right up, right
Also,
down.
how high is she throwing them up where you literally can stop and in awe watch them rotate?
It's hard to see a golf ball rotate.
And this is in a perfect arc. So, like, what is that?
So,
how can
and I don't understand what that means.
I don't understand the physics.
She's going side to side.
Oh, maybe.
But then she repeats the action until she has all 3 balls spinning in the air. Which
I don't understand
she
that.
threw all 3 at once, so I don't really understand. And so she goes, "Why are you looking at me like that?" And she's like what? Like I'm an exhibit in the zoo. And he goes, "It's an impressive trick."
She's throwing balls in
Where
the air.
did you learn how to juggle? First of all, juggling is You're like throwing things around multiple times. You're not throwing all 3 at once. She's just catching it, throwing it up in there and catching it.
Yes.
Atlas is like, "Oh my God, you're juggling."
It's
not juggling. That's the worst
juggling.
way to describe juggling I've ever heard in my life. Dude. In my life. And then and he's like, "Where'd you learn how to juggle?" Not juggling, by the way.
Yeah.
I grew up in the circus. My parents were performers, and so is my brother. But you're not, he says. And she goes, "I looked after the animals." First of all, wasn't she an acrobat?
I thought she was on horses. Wasn't she like?
No, I thought she was like a tumbler, like an acrobat, like
right. Because didn't she like not wear shoes all the time or something? And there was
and so now it turns out that she was like in the circus, but in the
she was like a janitor
way. She was the stable cleaner.
Yeah, she cleaned up the poop.
Her brother does motocross and is a clown. Her parents,
in the famous motocross circus that exists.
It's insanity to me.
I like how I like how she says, "I don't have any talent," and he goes, "I disagree." He's like, "I don't know about you, but I haven't seen many people throw those balls up in the air and catch them like that." It's like, what are you talking about?
It's not even juggling. It is the dumbest. So again, the whole circus backstory, pointless.
And it will come back.
Because she wasn't in the circus.
No.
She cleaned up the stalls and hung out with the animals. Like that was her circus experience. And anyway,
so the rest of this chapter, we're going to step lightly on this chapter because things progress. So they share a moment. Like they're looking at each other. There's some electricity, and he says lines, and I'm getting the cringe cowbell ready.
He says, right before we get there, he goes, so they stare at each other. He goes, "If you keep looking at me like that, I'm gonna forget I'm your boss."
Yeah, that's a cringe
weird
cowbell.
Work environment. Yeah. And she's like, "Is that a problem?" Watching as he flares his nostrils.
Yeah, in these books,
that a sexy
people
quality?
are always flaring their nostrils in these books.
Can you do it on command? I'm like,
yeah,
that's nostril flares.
I just did.
That's such a weird thing.
It's kind of like what Voldemort does. I feel like.
Yeah,
I feel like Voldemort's whole face is nostrils.
It is just a nostril.
He's always horny.
I don't really understand that. Was that he didn't have a nose? Is it because he's supposed to be a snake, or is it just kind of like?
I think it's just like part of his. Because it's funny because
his nose was a Horcrux.
We're rewatching all the movies right now, so I kind of know.
His nose was a Horcrux.
No, I don't
they
think
destroyed his nose.
But I think just in his transformation of becoming a human again in his body,
they just skipped out on the nose.
It just messed up that part. And then she drops a line casually like, "I heard there's a hidden waterfall nearby." And
How you just moved here? You've never been to this golf course.
You've never played the game before.
Secret waterfall. Yeah.
Also, how many golf courses have a secret waterfall by them?
Not many.
It's usually like in the middle of nowhere.
Or it's in a populated area where you go beyond the fence and
I like how
houses.
So Atlas glances uneasily at the dense foliage.
What is he scared of?
What is he nervous of?
First of all, as far as we know, he's the only monster in this town of monsters.
Right. We're also at a golf course.
Scary monsters in the woods? Like, are there like, oh, you can't, is this the village? Like, you can't leave the boundary of Screaming Woods.
Because the only people that we heard were bad, they investigated and it was like, false alarm, there's no bad people here earlier in the book, remember? So, like, what are you scared of? And he's like, okay, let's be careful. And then they head into the woods and the trees are growing taller. and the only sounds are our footsteps crunching on the dry leaves. They're walking a long way. Keep in mind, like, people like on the golf course are like, "Where are you going?"
Did they just leave their bags at the hole?
Yeah,
And
they
then
had to
someone
have.
just walks up and goes, "Well, there's 42 golf balls
Yeah.
thrown around here
Wow,
and
somebody
2
must be
empty."
really into juggling.
So they're walking through the secret thing, and she
Yeah.
just keeps going like he's just so masculine.
Yeah, he's
amazing.
masculine.
He's just always in control,
Yep.
dominates stuff. She's like, I need to push his buttons, which
Yep.
you should do with an unstable brace wearing super giant.
Yeah.
And he goes, I don't see a waterfall. So he believed her. And she goes, maybe I just wanted to get you alone. And he goes, you know the rules, referring to the workplace rules, which at this point, throw those away.
Yeah.
What do those even mean?
This is not a society at this point. She's like, relax, we're not at work. And then he's like, don't tempt me. He grits out before crushing his molars together loud enough to make the enamel shatter.
He broke his teeth.
What does that mean?
Thinking about that, he crunched his teeth so hard, pieces flaked off. How is that
insanity?
That's disgusting.
He's like flaring his nostrils. He's crushing his teeth. She places her hands on his chest, and she's like, "What are you gonna do to me?" He lets out a growl.
Just open hand smacked her in the face.
Yeah,
just killed her.
And the throbbing between her legs intensifies. Gross. The
rigid bulge
Yep.
pressing against her stomach.
Yeah, because he's tall. Yep. So his penis is at her stomach.
God, Jesus.
Then we get
she sinks to her knees. Grabs his thighs. But so riddle me this. Okay, so we're just gonna say the hot dog is at stomach height.
She might as well keep standing at this point.
That's what I'm saying. No, so like logistically, if it's at stomach height,
right?
So you gotta think there's a foot or two. If she gets to her knees, it's gotta be. The hot dog has to be way above her.
Also, if the hot dog is is hanging like this, I assume this is what it looks like, and it's pressed up against her stomach, then I assume when Mr. Hot Dog is getting ready to be bought, then that will be like at like face level.
I'm just estimating here based on some rough calculations, and it's probably the hot dog will be at least 1.5 feet above her on her knees.
Oh, on her knees. Yeah, exactly.
Because the thing of his stomach, and she goes all the way down.
Right.
It doesn't line up. And I don't think the author thought about this.
Nope.
So she's now.
I'd like you to get in the exact position that she's in.
It's insane. So anyway.
Yeah. We won't. So
they
she's
start grinding, even though she was. Yeah, I mean, he basically shuts it down at first.
Well, yeah, he shuts it down because he's like, What if it triggers me going bananas?
And also the weirdest thing is he's like, what are you doing? And which is the normal reaction. They went to a secret waterfall that didn't exist.
Well, he's like, I'm trying to get you to hit.
Yeah, he's got his eyes
triple
on the
bogeys
prize.
here.
He wants to win a golf tournament.
Yeah, right.
And she goes, showing my appreciation.
He's like, your golf game is shit, honestly, and I'm trying to improve it. And now you're taking me in the middle of the woods and unzipping my pants.
And to show her appreciation. Insane.
Yeah.
So he basically is like, don't do it. And then she's like, don't you like it? And he does. And he's like, but my harness, like I could Hulk out. And she's like, it's fine. Don't worry about it.
Again, she just learned about this. She has no idea. She hasn't seen it in action. She has no idea what the consequences of him hulking out even are, or what really triggers it, or anything like that. She's just horny.
Blatant disregard. So they do this back and forth.
Yeah, he's pacing
like,
back and forth.
Then she's like, I feel guilty. Now he's in pain. And it's like, well, yeah, you're doing some weird stuff.
This is the least sexy situation at this point.
It's so awkward.
Like at the very beginning, you're like, okay, yeah, whatever. But now at this point, like
they just keep like going back and forth. Basically, to sum it up, is like, are you uncomfortable? Are you uncomfortable?
Yeah,
are you in pain? I am in pain.
And she's apologizing. She's like, I'm sorry. He's like, sorry for what? She's for causing you pain, like you said.
And then he just goes in and starts nibbling on her neck.
Yeah, he's doing a lot of nibbling.
After this awkward thing, it's just
he smells musky.
Yeah, musky. He's got his
Yeah.
fedora on. I would imagine he still has his fedora on.
That is an interesting thing to consider. Is I wonder what this guy smells like because he is so large and he has animalistic tendencies.
Listen, you got to think the BO is
That,
magnified,
that's what I'm
right?
saying. And
He's
like
sweating out on the golf course, but you got to think like a normal person like us
just carrying
sweat.
that amount of weight around, I feel
Yeah,
like.
sweats, right? And so
Yeah.
you got to imagine like he's got to have some medical grade deodorant.
Has to be. Has to
Yeah.
be. But apparently, yeah, he's got a musky scent that makes her senses come alive. And she's like, his touch is too light. Like, he's being too gentle with me. And she's like, I want more. And, like, so she pushes his chest. And then he's like, oh, yeah, it's on. And she's
So,
like, yeah,
oh
go
God.
ahead.
It's just so yeah, and then so they get into it. So she goes back to her knees again.
Yeah, yeah.
She unzips his
Uh-huh.
pants. She I hate this. Licks
Yeah.
her lips in
Ugh,
anticipation.
don't like that.
As his hot dog springs free, and it hits her in the chin. And I
Yeah.
have to think that that's like a knockout punch from a
Yeah.
boxer, right?
Yeah.
And just the logistics of this.
Especially because she savors the vision of his length and girth, which is
That's
not
the
a sentence
concussion.
I wanted to
She
read
got
today.
knocked out by
And the next sentence is unbelievable.
Oh my
He's so
God.
big, it feels like a science experiment.
What does
And I
that
need
mean?
to psych myself up before taking him in my mouth.
That's an insane sentence. That is one of
It
the
is
wildest sentences I've ever read with my
on this
eyeballs.
show. That is one of the wildest sentences we've definitely ever read.
So, and we all obviously our minds have to stray, and we think about what the size of that could be.
Yeah, as big as a science experiment.
Insane. I mean, that has to be like.
Think of like a pool noodle, maybe.
That's exactly what I was thinking. Is like a half of a pool noodle.
I don't know. I don't know. But she's doing the deed. We don't need to get into the details there.
Yep. She's
He
ignoring his protests. That's good.
Yep.
That's awesome.
He's
That's
groaning.
super weird.
He's moaning.
Yep.
She's doing all her
Oh.
tricks. She says.
He's salty and sweet flavor.
Yeah, didn't
so
like that.
he's
Didn't like
salty
that.
and sweet. That's disgusting. Means he was sweaty, for sure.
And then it happens, and he zips himself up, and she pushes to her feet.
Wait. I use all my tricks.
Yeah. Yep.
Has she experienced living in the circus? I don't. Oh my God. Yeah.
Yeah. So she
yeah,
stands
yeah.
up,
Yeah, he
and
does his zip.
yeah.
Well, all right, that's done.
Yep, and
Cool
that's
secret
it.
waterfall.
All right, we got better at golf today. So he says, "You're incredible," and he kisses her again. When he pulls away, my lips feel swollen and my jaw is sore.
Well, her jaw is sore because the hot dog hit her
Yeah.
right in the chin.
Oh,
Thing's
God.
got to be 20 pounds.
And he's like,
Um,
"Let's drive you home," which is
So
like
they just stopped
that's
golfing.
the end of the lesson.
Like they just stopped golfing and let's drive you home. Were they in a golf cart? Why didn't they take the golf cart to the secret woods?
Let's drive you home after we escape from the woods because I have
And she
no
says
idea where
we've
we
taken
are.
a huge leap closer.
Yeah, huge
I
is
would
the right
say
word
that,
there.
yeah.
They drive home in comfortable silence.
Weirder.
Very
so much
weird.
weirder. So much weirder.
And she's like, nothing in my life will ever be the same again. So now we POV switch over to Atlas. And he says how his greatest fear was that Celeste would tempt him and trigger the transformation.
But he says, I'm unsure if this is the temporary state of him not transforming or if I'm reverting back to a man.
Yeah, where did this come from, dude?
I don't even understand what the. Yeah, I mean, it's insane.
He's
It's
like,
insane.
her love may even set me free, he says. So that ends chapter 7. We head into which is also, it's kind of like, why did we even get this like 3 paragraphs from Atlas? Because it's like that's the end of the chapter. Because then we go back to Celeste's perspective in chapter
It doesn't
8.
matter.
So we really didn't need that.
Nothing in this book matters. I guess golf is.
Yeah. So chapter 8, Celeste POV. It's still light when Atlas drops me at home. I would hope so. I don't know. Were you guys golfing after work? Was this?
No one really golfs at night.
No
unless you're in
context.
Dubai.
She makes some tea. She probably gets an ice pack, puts it on the jaw, I would assume.
A frozen bag of peas. Yeah.
She sits on her balcony, and she's going over what happened and trying to make sense of things.
I think we know what happened.
Yeah, you're the one that instigated this entire situation.
You gave him a blowjob in a public place on a golf course.
I like how she's like, I've only ever known the life of traveling with the circus. I feel like I've been on the road forever. but I'm building a new life, and this place is beginning to feel like home. So this is what made you feel like home?
This is it. This is the thing. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah.
for sure.
She peers through the window at the stunning view of the woods, grateful for every blessing in my life.
God, that
Um,
must. I mean, she
that,
just
everything's
cloud nine
changed
after
apparently
that.
from this. I mean, this was one thing. Um,
Meanwhile,
she,
Alice is like, that was pretty wild. I
yeah,
just got
yeah.
a
He's like,
blowjob on the golf
Jesus.
course,
Yeah.
and I feel the same. And she's like, my whole life has changed.
I like
And
how
she's
she
like,
says,
it's
yeah.
so weird. Following those actions, the words that she says is, I feel safe for the first time since my parents died. Don't link the two things
Yeah,
that
let's
just
let
happened
a little time
with the death
pass.
of your parents.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
She loves working with Alice. Yep. You definitely do. Sleek cars line the street.
This is the street that had the motorbike meth lab in it.
That's exactly what I was about to say. Is this the whole point of a couple chapters ago was she apparently lives in kind of a shady area, and now she's telling us there's picket fences and sleek
Gardens
cars,
everywhere.
children playing in the park, and like
Good to know she did that near a park because this golf course, I think, is technically in her neighborhood.
right. And,
So yeah, that's good.
and the FBI was just investigating
Honey, what's that?
a trap house in her neighborhood like 3 chapters ago. She watches a little boy launch off the swing and tumble onto the grass below. Like, why are we hearing this? A woman races to help until his mother arrives.
People are friendly here in the neighborhood. I was like, what happened to the kid? Is he okay?
Yeah.
She just says that like that's a normal. This kid went flying off. All the people gathered around. People are so nice. The kid's screaming. What is?
I like how she goes, who knows? Maybe one day I'll even get a dog. It's like,
get
where
a
is this
dog.
coming from?
It's the perfect place for a canine companion. That's a weird thing to say. Pretty much any place is good for a dog owner, unless you're in a war zone. I guess I don't understand that.
Also, like, you're a single woman that works in an office every single day. So okay, you're gonna get a dog, and then this dog is gonna just like sit in your house all day. It's like, what is she even talking about? She's also doesn't really know anybody, so besides Atlas, so nobody can really dog sit for her. So I'm just saying, like,
heard of a single friend she's made outside of her aloof, distant monster boss who she's had intimate relations with.
And there's her brother. She says, if only Brody were here. And it's her brother who has not been mentioned since chapter 1 or whatever.
Since he was like, I bought a motorbike with my dead parents' inheritance, and I'm going pro.
And then here we go. This is where things get fun. So she calls Brody, and she's like, how's the greatest motocross racer around doing? Because, that's a normal sentence. The faint but unmistakable sounds of a circus drift to my ears. So, like, the circus is in the middle of going on right now while he's, like, on the other line, I guess?
Could you imagine in a... So I don't like clowns.
Yeah, sure.
Literally never been to a circus. Don't want to deal with the clowns. But I feel like I'm just picturing, like, a concert where, like, the person's singing and goes up, 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 and takes a phone call.
Literally in the middle of the circus.
What's going on?
And he's like, doing good. I want to hear more about you. You still love living in your new place. She's like, yeah, you should come to visit. And he's like, are you bored of living in suburbia yet? And she's like, it isn't as dull as you think. My brother isn't judging me
I
for
just
needing...
blew my boss on the golf course.
Yeah. Wait till I tell you how big this was.
Oh, God.
So she misses him as she chokes back a sob. And she goes, sorry, Brody. Why did she say sorry?
Are so weird. And he's like, don't apologize. I understand why you need to do this. I'm adult. I can take care of myself.
Okay.
So, like, is she feeling like survivor's guilt from leaving the circus?
I guess.
But also, I guess he's not motocrossing, or maybe he's still working.
Well, we're about to find out.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
So she goes, how are the rehearsals for the show coming along? I've been watching the Facebook live feed, but didn't see you in last week's show. So,
oh my God, yeah.
A couple things. Rehearsals are usually things that occur before the shows happen.
Yes.
So why would the show be on Facebook Live?
Yeah. Apparently, I guess the circus has a feed. So.
And what circus is putting on their live feed
Wait. You raised a really good point because if you're going to the circus, you're paying money to go see the circus. If they're
Right.
just putting it up on a Facebook live feed,
Why would
you
I
don't
go?
actually have to go to the circus. You can just watch the live feed.
Also, how much of an amazing production would this be? Because we're talking about if there's motocross in this circus, you got to probably have multiple camera angles. You got to have, this is a whole production here.
Yeah. And so,
And it's on Facebook Live, which is
Facebook
even
Live.
funny because like nobody even uses that anymore.
No, it's just so he goes, everything's fine. I was on track to lead the show.
The show.
So I guess he's like still trying to go pro in motocross, but has gone back to the circus, I guess, until he's ready to go pro. So I guess he got his big break and is going to be the lead clown.
No.
It doesn't
the
mean
motocross. The motocross is part of the show, the circus.
Oh, it is.
There's a motocross event in the circus,
God.
which is why he was doing the training for it. For some reason, there's some motocross aspect to it, and then he had an accident during rehearsals.
Oh yeah, please don't let him tell me he's hurt, Brody. Like he's like, yeah, I got injured. I ripped the tendons off my left ankle. I'll be on crutches for 6 weeks.
Yeah,
Brody. If you rip all the tendons off of your ankle, that's not 6 weeks.
That's not 6 weeks, buddy.
That
might be 6 months or more.
Invasive surgery to see if you can walk again, Brody.
That's
because
unbelievable.
Tendons multiple, right? And so your ankle has this is basically like your ankle bone is a fist.
Yeah.
Put your other fist on top like this. All of these are tendons, and this back thumb one is your Achilles, which we know takes about a year in football to come back from.
Right.
A year. He ripped all of them off the bone. So this man doesn't even have a leg anymore.
Yeah, he's not on crutches for 6 weeks. He's gone for a while. And I like how her response is just, that's rough. It's like,
I say sympathetically, oh no, that sucks.
And then she tells us, no one in that place has insurance, and the boss, Freddie, has bizarre ways of treating
his
the
flat tone, at least he isn't seriously injured. He is, by definition,
did you not just hear what he said happened?
The boss, you're saying the boss has bizarre ways of treating the performers. What?
And by bizarre, I mean he numbs them out on opiates and brings in a vet to set broken bones.
What circus is this?
I don't understand. The circus is legit enough to have a Facebook Live feed, apparently.
What you're openly telling the world is that, the ringleader, he stuffs a bunch of Tylenol in your mouth or heroin and then just resets your bones with a vet. Like they want to keep it under the radar.
Numbs him out on and brings in a vet to.
That's not bizarre. That's illegal.
Couldn't you just bring in a doctor? What does bringing in a vet do?
To set the broken bones. Literally insane that was even a paragraph. And so this is the most honestly, the circus guy sounds like the dude who's running that drug shop out of her neighborhood.
Freddie. Freddie clearly is shady character because he's cutting corners left and right, but we're getting the Facebook Live feed up, so that's important. So she's like, what are you going to do for work? And he's like, Freddie's got me working at the ticket booth. I like how she goes, what about your motorbike? What's the damage? Like, all right, we're moving on quite quickly from his injury.
Okay, so it was on the motorbike. So he wasn't doing the clown thing, you're right?
Yeah, no. He was on the motorbike, and she asked about, what happened to the motorbike. I cracked the frame when I slipped. And so I'm trying to think I'm trying to understand how this injury would have happened bad enough that he rips tendons off his ankle. All that happens is he cracks the frame of his motorbike.
So in my, I don't even know because I was picturing going off a big jump, right? And then maybe your foot slips off as you're landing of the pedal and it gets caught underneath, but that would shatter your legs.
Right.
So in my mind, what happened is he was getting on the motorbike, slipped off and tore his everything.
It was something clearly not that bad, or I was expecting a big crash or something, and it's
he flies off the jump and he separates from the bike and he flies into the audience. Or
it's apparently a cracked frame, and then here, oh god, I love this book so much. So she's like, you can fix it, right? And he goes, yeah, Dave's looking into it. And she's like,
who
Dave?
The fuck is Dave?
Okay, she's racking her brain trying to remember who Dave is, and then. And the clock ticking on the kitchen wall is the only sound in the room as she's racking her brain to think who this is. And then suddenly she goes, do you mean Dodgy
Dodgy
Dave?
Dave. I thought he was locked up in prison. He's out now and has developed a whole new set of skills. What does that even mean?
Dodgy Dave? Out of all the nicknames for guys who are like shady, I mean, Dirty
Dodgy
Dave,
Dave. That sounds like
Dirtbag
a
Dave.
character from the 1920s.
Like
in
Dodgy. Yeah, that's like a British thing. I feel like Dodgy
the
and
gang, like the Newsies. It's like, oh, that man, he's
Dodgy
Dave.
Dave. Also,
He can
like,
lift a bunch of apples from the apple stand
yeah,
and
do
not
you
a
mean
person
Dodgy
no.
Dave? I thought he was locked up in prison. He's out
Also,
now.
that's like a really like. It's a weird nickname for somebody who could have been in prison for any number of things.
Right.
But you got to feel like a circus dude in prison is probably not a financial crime. It might be aggravated assault.
Right. We have no idea. We have no idea what the range is. And I like how, so, he's Dodgy Dave, and then like, Brody says he's out now and he's developed a whole new set of skills.
What is
It's
that?
like,
What kind of skills? Bike repair?
I mean, it's a cracked frame. Like this isn't like an incredible. I'm guessing you could sit me in front of a motorbike and give me, like a day. Maybe I'd be able to figure out some sort of makeshift solution for a cracked frame. I have no idea, but apparently Dodgy Dave has this whole new set of skills. And she's like, "Oh, how comforting to know Freddie's hiring quality individuals." It's like you already know that Freddie is a scumbag, and he brings in the vet to fix people's broken arms.
Circus performers to fix their broken bones. What kind of stand-up guy is Freddie? Oh my god!
And he's like, "It's fine, sis. I've got it under control."
Oh,
She's
and
like,
then she talks about it. Yeah. So to
Yeah.
fix a cracked frame. So generally, a cracked frame is a pretty big deal for big cars and stuff.
Sure.
So that'll total a car. And then she goes, "You're not riding a motorbike that's been welded together. That's probably how you would fix a cracked frame." So Dodgy Dave came out of prison with welding skills that they don't teach you in prison.
Right.
So she says it won't hold up to the pressure. So suddenly she's a structural engineer who just dismisses the welding or anything, saying your bike isn't going to be able to handle the toll after a welding. He's never mentioned welding. No one even knows what's going on. The bike's not even fixed.
No, this has not been talked about. But she mentions how, Freddie's shady without care for quality or safety. All he wants is an easy buck. We've heard of riders dying. What?
Under similar circumstances. Okay, so first of all, to backtrack, the motocross has always been a part of this.
Yeah, it's.
I guess they have a fleet
feature.
of motocross riders who they're trying to fill in.
They have animals and they have motocross.
Which wild circus. Maybe I'll go see that.
I would love to see it. Well, it's on Facebook Live, so go ahead.
Yeah, it's on Facebook Live. But like, it's there, and then like these motorbike people are dying under similar circumstances. So they all have been like, "Hey, this frame looks kind of cracked. Dodgy Dave's gonna weld it. You're gonna be just fine." They die probably in the circus. And then they're like, "Well, new spot just opened up. Brody, how do you feel about riding motorbikes for the first time? We're not going to give you a motorbike. You need to go buy it with your dead parent money."
Yeah. You know how your parents just died?
How that went down.
Yeah, use that money to buy this, and then we're gonna. So yeah.
The circus is the only. Wait, so I couldn't wait to leave the place behind. So she's feeling guilt of leaving him behind. My brother has a viable future as a stunt rider. He's never done this.
Yeah.
And the first time he tried, he ripped every tendon off of his leg.
Yeah. It's
then
actually the opposite, like he actually has no
thing.
future as a stunt rider.
The craziest thing that she says is, she's like thinking about it. She's like, the circus is the only place to get the training he needs. With the right experience, he could get a job at one of the big casinos in the future. Casinos have motocross.
I don't understand this. I don't understand this sentence at all. The circus is the only place to get the training he needs, and with the right experience, bro, he can get a job at one of the big casinos.
Maybe he should go to a motocross company, or like, I feel like
reach out to Red Bull, or like I don't know, like you said, Hollywood, maybe stunt person or something.
And if you gave me $12,000 right now and said, go buy a motocross bike and become a stunt rider, the first place I would probably go is not a circus.
Not a circus and not a casino.
And not a casino. And
Right.
I've never once heard of it. I've seen a casino that's had like stunt people come to,
sure, like
Las
a Circus
Vegas,
Soleil or whatever. Or,
something like that, where they're just in town for a day. But like casinos don't just go, they're the roulette, blackjack,
Yeah.
craps,
There's
poker,
Brody the motorbike guy.
motocross.
Yeah.
There's the bar.
It's like,
Like,
what are you betting on? How many tendons he can rip off his
it's
ankle?
just,
Like I don't understand.
oh my God, I
Um,
don't get it. Like, what is that a normal thing that someone just says?
so all
Oh,
of
it's the
that
only
happens.
place he can get the training he needs to
Yeah,
become a
all of
weaponized
that
hot rod.
happens, and then the conversation flips to him asking about her job. Have you cracked any cases? It's like, no, she
cracked
hasn't.
one case where the hot dog is. And
Yes.
she solved that one.
That's exactly. She definitely solved that. She's like, the job's great. It pays well. I'll need a few weeks to make it happen, but I promise you'll have a new bike for the show.
So now she's financing his death wish. She's
Also,
like, I know.
a few weeks. Didn't we say motorbikes cost like $12,000-$15,000 is what they
And
got?
she's house broke.
Yeah, she's housebroke.
She's like, I can barely afford to live here, but don't worry, I'm gonna buy you a new motorbike so you can continue riding in
this
the
next sentence,
sketchiest circus known to man.
she says, "I promise you'll have a new bike for the show." And his exuberant whoop is so loud.
Oh my God, I'm so excited. He just yells into the phone. I earn enough money to pay my bills and expenses, leaving a little in savings. After taking out a loan, I've used up my credit line, and I won't be able to save enough money to buy a new bike in time for
Then
the
why
show.
did she just say that she could do it?
She just told him she's gonna buy him a new bike, and then goes, "I can't buy him a bike."
Why did she say that? What? Like
And then
nobody,
she's like-
nobody was expecting you to do
No,
that.
but then the same thing, and then she goes, "I need a second job." So she immediately, and guess what? I guess she hung up at some point during that conversation
Oh,
because, like,
Yeah,
she
you're
stopped
right.
talking to Brody, and now she's combing the want ads that she threw away when she started working for Atlas.
this doesn't
And
make any sense. Why would she say, "I promise you'll have a new bike for the show"? He gets excited. She hangs up and goes,
goes,
"Oh my
"I can't
God,
buy him a
I
bike."
can't buy him a bike for the show."
And then she's looking for the want ad she threw away. She's been working for him, what, like a month? Want ads are in every newspaper every day. She's like looking for the one she threw in the trash months ago.
Also-
because she's like, I don't need a new job. But
We're
it's
also in modern society.
she's
There's
on Facebook
computers.
Live.
There's
She can go to
technology.
Indeed.com.
Right.
It's right next to the Facebook Live button. Oh my God. Or Monster.com. That would have been way funnier
And then
if
she
she went on
says,
to Monster for a job.
"Sinful Sirens are offering a part-time bookkeeping position. They're paying high rates," which we've never heard
What
of this
is
place.
Sinful Sirens? And what is
Oh.
a bookkeeper? Okay,
I like how
so
she says,
accounting.
They're paying, yeah, that's accounting. She's like, they're paying high rates, making me think the job requires creative accounting. So she's already
creative
assuming this
books.
place is shady and they're cooking the books. And she goes, "Well, a
It's a
rowdy bar,
Okay.
yeah, a bar isn't my ideal place to
Creative
hang out
accounting.
after work. It's only temporary."
What kind of want ad would be like? You need to do creative accounting.
Is she only doing this to buy the bike for Brody?
Also, she works for an office that deals in financial crimes.
yeah.
And so, like, she wants to go do financial crimes for a bar, knowing that she's working for someone who investigates that.
It's like you work for the DEA and then like on the side you are a drug dealer. Like what are we talking about?
It's such a small town, and she's gonna go work for the rowdiest, sketchiest bar, working their books, and that's like the first place anyone's gonna stop.
And she only needs like $12,000. So it's like,
We don't even know how much because they didn't
Yeah,
even tell us
right.
how much the inheritance
Right.
was, but it was enough for a down payment on a fancy, sketchy neighborhood. I don't even.
all she would have to do is say, "Hey, Brody, you know what? On second thought, I don't have enough money
Brody.
to buy you a bike. You also are not going to be better in 6 weeks. So
Yeah,
I don't think it really matters, Brody. Also, Brody still has a job at the circus, so like he can save up money as well. So
Also, or hey, Brody, how about you don't ride motorbikes? Use whatever's left of your inheritance and get out of the circus.
yeah, I don't
Anything. I didn't even
don't
think
know.
about the 6-week timeline. Buying him a bike in 6 weeks is going to do nothing.
So
He's-
you're going to work as
he
a
won't be
part-time
walking-
bookkeeper at this bar for 6 weeks?
Also, he's not going to rehab for his leg because they have a vet and a bunch
No.
of drugs. So he's going to walk with a limp for the rest of his life.
Yeah, it's I don't
Wait,
know.
because we didn't address this. He tore all the tendons
Right off his
off
ankle.
of his ankle.
Does that need surgery?
Yeah. Yes.
And he doesn't have health insurance, they said, in the
A
book.
lot of surgeries, he doesn't have health insurance, and they bring in a vet to reset the broken
So it's
bones.
like maybe the
It's
money
an
should be spent towards the surgery, not
yeah.
a new
No,
bike that only needs welding together on the frame.
or something.
Right.
I just the more we talk about it, he needs major surgery.
Yeah.
He will not be walking or can do anything in
No.
6 weeks. Like, he hasn't even gotten surgery yet.
No, no, he's just
his
on
timetable to
crutches.
return, he said 6 weeks. Your tendons don't magically reattach themselves
No, they
back to
don't.
your leg.
They don't.
Oh my god,
Oh my god.
that's buck wild.
What an incredible
that is
section of this book.
absolutely insane.
So the next day, she's back in the office with Atlas. We've been flat out working all day. It's like, oh yeah, for once, apparently, because they usually just do nothing and golf, and she just looks at his penis. But things are easy between us. It's time to go home, and Atlas looks at me expectantly. He goes, "Great work today." She's like, "Thank you." And
Great
his
work on
broad
that golf
smile
course.
shows a row of gleaming white teeth. He says, "If I knew how easy pleasing you was, I would have done so weeks ago." And he says
What?
that. Yeah, it says
Why would he?
Yeah, he says that. Why does he say that?
I guess he says it, or Celeste.
Oh, I guess because he says great work today. And she's like, and I guess that's something that he doesn't usually say because she says, I'm not used to praise and it feels good. So all he said was great work today. And she's like, oh, thank you. And he's like, wow, if I knew how easy pleasing you was, I would have done so weeks ago. So it's like, you haven't told her she's done a good job for
It's either that
like a
or
month?
she said that back to him after he said
No,
that.
I think maybe, but no, because then she goes,
That's
I'm
still weirder
offended.
because what
Yeah.
she's saying is, if I knew that I could have given you a blowjob 6 weeks ago,
But
I would
that's not her
have
saying it.
done
It's
that.
him saying it. Because then she goes, it takes a lot more than words to please me.
Oh my god, it is. That's so weird.
I don't understand.
What do
So
you
he's
mean he
never
would have
told
done
her
something weeks ago. So
he's never
he's
told her she's
never
done a good
once said
job.
good job.
Yeah, not at all.
That's also
Also,
concerning.
like, I don't
This
understand.
is a
She
terrible
says
work
she
environment.
says I'm not used to praise. It's like, so like nobody
Grew
at
up
the
in a
circus.
circus with a sketchy, dodgy Dave and Dan and
Dodgy
Freddie.
Dave and Freddie. He grins. He drops his gaze to the paper on his desk, and his grin disappears. And he starts drumming his fingers on the surface. And I like how her immediate thought is like, "What is it? Did I forget to do something?" It's like, why?
This is such
Why
a
would you say that?
toxic relationship? Yeah. And he's just like, wait. So he asks her to go out to eat.
Yeah,
He's like, it's
yeah.
fine. Like, let's go out to eat. And she goes, she's like frustrated and angry now, and she doesn't like keeping secrets. And I think she's talking about the job.
Yeah, because apparently she got, even though it's the next day,
So I guess she got the job.
maybe she
immediately.
hasn't gone to, maybe she's going, needs to, yeah, she
Go
says,
there.
I can't tell him I have a second job. How do you,
So she got a job in less than a day.
yeah, I guess so.
She's cooking books for a sketchy bar and
Right.
feels bad about it, which she should.
Yeah. So he asked
But I
her,
guess-
he asked her to eat, and she's like,
And she's
oh,
like,
rain
rain
check.
check.
Yeah, exactly. She says she can't, which is like, okay, like, I mean, this was a random request. Like, they didn't plan this. He just threw this out there.
What the fuck? And he said, I can't. And he nods and he's like, washing your hair. No problem. You have beautiful hair. I understand if it needs washing. Why?
Why would he say that?
Why
Is
would he
this,
say
is this
that?
like a weird
I've
inside
never-
joke?
I've never once been, if someone's been like, I need to go
Oh,
do something,
yeah.
I'd be like, oh, yeah, you're going to go take a shower.
Yeah,
I would take a shower if I were
get
you
it.
too.
I get it. Yeah. And she can't come up with an excuse because she can't tell him that she has a second job.
She could have just been like, "Yep, I'm washing my hair."
Here's
And then he
here's-
goes, "Forget I mentioned it." Like he looks crushed and turns away. So he was like, I don't know if it was a joke, but he was like, "Oh, you have to wash your hair." And then she doesn't say anything, and he's like, "Oh, forget I said anything."
Also, why couldn't she just be like, "Hey, Atlas, my brother wrecked his leg on a dirt bike, so I have to get a second job because I'm a secretary at a two-person law firm or investigative firm, and clearly that's not paying that much money, and so I happen to be getting a second job. Why does she have to hide this from him? I don't understand it." So she's like, "I'd love to go, but I just can't. I can't." She's like, "I'm not seeing somebody else." It's like, all right,
Which
nobody
is
was
also a
accusing
weird
you.
thing. That she's just like, "No, trust me, I'm not having
Yeah.
relations with another man."
She's like,
It's
nobody
just-
said you were. Why would you even say that? And he smiles, and it's like a ray of sunshine cutting through gloomy clouds. That he lets her leave without a fight proves his faith in her.
Also, he can let her leave because it's the end of the
It's the end of the
workday.
day.
He can't be like, "You're staying here." Yeah,
You have to eat with
it's
me.
such a weird give and go here with this, like, and she's like, "Well, I'm not being honest with him. I'd give anything to be in that restaurant with him. So do it. Brody doesn't need a new bike. He needs a new leg. Okay." Yeah.
Instead, she's got her first shift at Sinful Sirens. And now that leads us into chapter 9, final chapter of this episode.
I can't even handle what those last 2 chapters did to my brain.
This book is fantastic, I will say.
It's just it goes like,
it's
"Hey,
getting better and better.
everyone here is monsters. They drank a weird punch from Dr. Frankenfuck, whatever
think
his
about
name
the
is."
details in this one. We've
And
had
then they never talk about monsters again.
No.
Then go, "He's a monster. He's the
Yeah.
only one you will ever see in this book.
Yep.
He has no other monsters have come up." And then they're like, "By the way, we're going to take a hard left turn. We're going to talk about golf for a while."
When's the tournament? Because it hasn't happened yet. So, and it's been time.
And then, oh, by the way, Brody's back. His leg is in pieces, and she's buying him a dirt bike.
And she just got a second job.
Yeah. Oh my God.
So we're at her perspective here. He calls her name as she leaves.
Wait, Celeste.
She pauses, and his eyes flit to hers, and he goes, "Thank you for everything." It's like this guy has done a complete 180 from originally like standing in the shadows, like, you know, not letting her look upon him.
Taking the job interview from upstairs while she was in an empty office alone being watched by video cameras to, "She means everything to me. Thank you for everything you've done." That the golf course was just changed my life.
I think she just like gave him
Do we think
pretty
that was
amazing
real
experience.
Real talk. Do we think that was Atlas's first
intimate considering
experience?
How he said how terrified he was that if you know things happened, that he would like turn into a monster.
So we knew he turned into a monster as a kid, right? So he went through high school and stuff like that as a monster. He couldn't do anything. So we know what happened sometime around elementary to middle school.
Right.
So do we think that was his first encounter with a woman? Ever?
It's quite possible. It is quite possible. I mean, no wonder this guy's done a complete 180. He's like, "Wow, women are great."
Oh my God, this is amazing.
She says, "I was a competent woman before I met Atlas, but I wasn't content."
You were taking care of animals in a circus, and somehow picked up juggling, which wasn't juggling, and I don't even understand.
Yeah, where does the juggling come in? Just because she worked at a circus, everybody has to know how to juggle?
Well, and she wasn't even juggling. She was throwing him up and down, and he was like, "Oh my God." I'm beginning to think Atlas is an idiot. Like, he's actually dumb.
Yeah. When I left the circus, I was subconsciously searching for a simple, mundane existence.
Well, she wasn't. She talked about how she didn't want a mundane existence in chapter 1.
Yeah, she did.
She was like, "This is my new life."
Which is why she moved here.
Yes.
But she's like, I wanted, you know, I experienced enough excitement and needed a steady life with a white picket fence. Ordinary would be dull. There's nothing dull about the man staring at me with anticipation. Oh God! So it's like clearly he wants, you know.
Oh my God!
His gaze locks with mine. My breath hitches. That sounds like a medical.
This is still as she's walking out the door.
Yes, she had just said like, "Hey, I gotta go. I can't go out to dinner. I have something else I gotta get to." And he's like,
"Thank you for everything,
Celeste. Thank you for everything." And she's like, "All right, here I go." She struts toward him, unceremoniously tossing my belongings onto a nearby chair. And she sweeps all the papers and files to one side of the desk.
I'd be so mad. I'd be so mad. First of all, I thought she digitized everything. Why is there just papers lying everywhere? Yeah, she does the seductive desk mount.
But she like literally
she crawls closer.
She crawls on the desk because she.
How big is his desk? Well, I guess he's a big dude. So I'm picturing like an executive.
But I mean, still. So she swings her leg over the end of the table. And she crawls closer on all fours, and she goes making up for.
Is it a table or a desk? Because
I don't know.
So basically, she sweeps all the carefully arranged papers and stuff off to the desk.
She says she's making. Yeah.
So she went up to his desk, threw everything off, then went over to the table, not the desk, climbed onto the table, and then crawled towards him, but not all the way because I would assume he's at the desk and not the table.
It's not like a conference room table. Like it's a small office. And he's like, "What are you doing?" And she's like, "Making up for not going out to dinner in very special ways." Again, like this has turned into a much bigger thing. It's like, it's okay to cancel the plans. You're just like, I can't go. And she's like, well, I guess now I have to make it up to him. And he's like, you don't need to apologize and you don't need to do that. Okay, so he's on our side there. But she's
And
like,
then
oh God, yeah, please
she's like,
read
I
that.
want to because I need to, and she purrs like, that's weird.
Yeah, that's a cringe.
So then they start kissing, and then he slips his hand under her top and
Yeah.
caresses her breasts, and
Uh-huh.
he tweaks her diamond
Yeah.
hard nipple.
That's an incredible sentence.
That's
Uh,
what is. She gasps in shock, like she didn't know this is happening. Um, oh God! And
he
then
squeezes
they
her
just,
butt.
Yep.
Then he says some things I will
Oh
not repeat.
my God! What a wild thing to ask somebody.
Yeah.
Um.
Oof. Not a lot here we can
Oh my
read.
God! Yeah, this
Uh,
is insane. There's nothing we can read here.
Yeah, there's some
So
touching going on, basically. Some body touching. And I'm just there's really not a whole lot here. Her heart her heart flutters when she hears the crinkle of foil, which means he's getting a condom out, I guess. Safe sex, good for him.
is there one that fits the hot dog?
Yeah, that's very true.
It's custom made by the same doctor that turned him into this.
Yeah, Magnum XXXXXL. She's putty in his hands, and Atlas Everlast is the master.
Well, she also talks about
sculptor.
how like terrified she is that he might be using the hot dog on her.
Oh God,
I'm nervous that he might rip me to pieces. All sorts of other stuff.
Yep.
Yep. So
she's saying his name. She's like, "That's what I want. I need the untamed beast within." And then they're apparently clothed, but Atlas has lost his hat, and his dark hair
his
stands
fedora's
on
gone.
end, giving him a
Stands
wild
on end, so
appearance.
his fedora just his hair just sticks straight. I'm picturing the Frankenstein monster.
Yeah, the deed is done. He helps.
She grips the desk as hard as she can, holding on for dear life.
There's that.
Yep.
Yep.
That's
that.
yeah.
I like how they finish the deed, and then he's like, "You'd better go."
Again, weird. She's like, I wish I could stay, but yeah, I'm late for my, and he doesn't allow the
You're
line.
late for your first day on the job because like you just got this new job.
Destroyed by a monster in an office? Like,
Yeah.
what is happening?
Not a professional workplace. And this is the same guy that made these rules like 5 chapters ago about decorum in the workplace. And she's like, "Yeah, I'm late for mine." He doesn't allow the lie to fall from my lips, kissing me goodbye instead. We get to Atlas's perspective. He's like, "Yeah, I can't get enough of Celeste." Clearly, I think you're right. I think this is a case of first woman contact in his entire life, so he's like immediately obsessed with her.
He's had he's lost his virginity.
Yeah.
In 2 different ways.
Yeah.
In the last 3 days.
She grabs her coat. She steps.
Yeah. He basically goes like, I know she's lying. I'm a PI. So, the workday's done, but I don't work from my desk and I do financial crimes, but he grabs his coat and tails her as she goes downtown. So after all that, he's like, she's lying to me. I'm going to follow her is what he says.
And they head to the red light district.
Ashley's brought me cookies.
Oh, well, perfect. Bring them over to me.
Homemade.
Homemade. I want a quick cookie review while you're in the middle of this. Let's are they?
Oh no.
Are they really hot?
There's chocolate everywhere. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, I need
I'm
a.
gonna wait that for a second.
Okay.
Chocolate's very good.
So he tails her, like you said. They're heading towards the notorious red light district, which is such like a. I feel like that's such like a term from like the 50s. I feel like a red light district.
Yeah, because normally the only district I know of that still exists like that is in Amsterdam.
Yeah.
People don't call normally. You just a bad part of town is what you would call.
Yeah. She pulls up at a shady-looking strip club, bathed in the glow of a neon sign that reads "Sinful Siren." So it's a strip club. It's not a bar. Which she didn't tell us that earlier.
Rowdy bar
also
is not the same as a strip club.
I guess the strip clubs put their advertisements in the classifieds for their jobs. I guess I don't know.
I guess they're their business.
Their business.
But their business that also asked for people that were okay with doing bad accounting, and hired her having 0 accounting experience.
Which apparently they gave her like a high. Remember, she said like it was like a higher salary than normal. So that's how I know they're cooking the books or something. It's like, all right. So he pulls up in a dark corner of the parking lot. He's still hidden, quietly observing the ragtag crowd filtering in and out of the bar. Um,
Leather-clad bikers spill out.
Yeah.
They're fighting. There's a huge fight happening. Bouncers are hot on their heels, break up the fight.
Which also, it's like, if they've already been kicked out of the club because they're in this fight, a lot of these clubs, like, once you leave the club, like, they don't give a crap if you're going to continue fighting. Like, their job is to get you out of the club,
Why
so you
would
don't
they
hurt
wanna
any
break up
other
the fight?
patrons.
Yeah.
And then somebody working in the kitchen is smoking a cigarette next to the trash can in the parking lot. So basically, he's just trying to tell us, like, there's some shady characters here. But then Celeste steps out of her car, and she's still wearing her office clothes as she scurries into the bar, clutching her purse tightly to her chest. And he's like, she's not carrying an extra bag to suggest a change of outfit. So what is she doing here? So I wonder if he's thinking, like, oh, is she a stripper? Because, like,
That's what
she's
he's
not
thinking.
bringing another outfit. Okay.
Yeah, so he was immediately like, maybe she's. Well, he thinks that she might be a stripper,
Right.
and then says there's no extra bag, so maybe she's there for other means.
And then this is the first time we get this. So he says, so he waits a little bit, and then,
Oh!
yeah,
Imposing figures loom in the corridors. Some I recognize as non-human.
yeah, that's what I mean. So that's the first
Doesn't
time we've
say
had any sort
anything
of
more
thing.
on that, but
No.
says that there are definitely people in here who are monsters. But as we established before, in this universe, there's not really there's a bunch of books in this universe in this town
Right.
that follow different monsters. So I guess we just don't get to hear about any of them.
So he says everybody's looking at the women on the stage, but Celeste isn't one of them. There's no sign of her. He's like, I know I'm edging towards stalker territory, but the desire to watch over her is too strong to ignore.
Buddy, you're already there.
We're there. You've already peeked through her window once. You've already now stalked her to where she, to her second job. You're there. You're there.
Yeah.
Especially when he says,
He's been there. He has a house there.
Yeah. He says, I'll stick around until she emerges from wherever she's hiding. So he's like, I'll stay here all night until I see where she went. That's stalker. That would be stalker.
She may not know it, but I will always look out for her. That is something a stalker says.
Yeah, that is always in the manifesto for sure. I won't let anyone hurt her and will ensure she's safe no matter where she is. And that ends chapter 9. What a section. What a wonderful. So you had a little bit of everything. You had some steamy scenes.
You had golf.
You had some golf. You had some Brody, the brother. You had some dodgy Dave. You had, some just a lot going on in these sections. And so we finished chapter 9. So next episode will be the end of the book. It'll be 10, 11, and then there's 2 epilogues.
I forgot about the epilogues, which is pretty wild. Just make them extra chapters because there's 2 of them and they're
I don't understand.
lengthy.
So that will be we'll do the next episode, and that will be the end of this book. And then
And it's crazy because there's really only been 2 major graphic sex scenes.
Yeah.
And the rest of it has been plot. Very bad plot. But
I also
plot.
don't understand where any of this is going.
No,
we
nowhere.
only have 2. Didn't I say? I
Who's the
said
author
2
of this book
chapters.
again? I forget the author.
Fern Fraser.
I shouldn't. Fern Fraser. Fern Fraser opened up 22 doors and didn't walk through any of them. So we, the readers, are kind of like, I'm kind of interested in how some of this other stuff plays out. And she's like, nope, we're changing again. We're going this way.
Will Brody? It's like at the end of all the Pokemon episodes where the voiceover is like, will
Brody
Ash
finally
ever?
make
Yeah,
the big jump.
exactly. Will Brody
No,
get his new dirt bike? Will will Knox and Atlas
Brody
solve
walk again.
the
Yeah.
big case?
Dodgy Dan escaped the police.
Will Celeste, get enough money at the strip club to pay for the bike? It's just like
It's insane. It's just like you would figure for this is like the 5th novel we've done that they would focus on what they know. Which
especially because the vehicle for these books, it's typically just a vehicle to show you sex scenes, and this book,
this is like
the sex scenes are not a factor at all. It's literally
this is like she was writing it and goes like, "Oh, I have this amazing world built out in my head," and then goes, "Fuck, I don't know what I'm doing. Let's just go back to the sex. Okay, restart. Now we're gonna start this new story. Crap, that's not working. Go back to the sex.
Will there be a golf tournament, or was all of that a plot point completely irrelevant?
Yeah,
There's only 2 chapters left. So how are we going to resolve any of that?
An entire golf tournament would probably has to have at least one sex scene in any golf tournament.
Was what I'm curious, and again, I have not read ahead, so I don't know. Was the golf tournament plotline just a tool to get those two alone so they could go, so she could, do that to him? It's like, why?
That's what it sort of feels like. It was an unnecessary amount of information about golf to get to where they were going.
Why did we have an entire neighborhood golf tournament and they're prepping and they're practicing and she's chipping balls into coffee mugs and it's like
it goes left and right.
She's putting with a driver and she's driving with a putter. I don't understand.
The whole side story of Brody in the circus, you've talked to him twice. He went from practicing motocross to severely injured with no explanation. And characters introduced that mean nothing to the book.
Dodgy Dan? Why do we know about Dodgy? No, Dave. Is it Dave or Dan? I think it was Dave. Why do we know about Dodgy Dave? What does Dodgy Dave have to do with anything?
Did Atlas put him away? Is he like? Is that his first big crime? Like,
I don't know, man.
It is. This is insane. It is insane to me.
It's the best book I've ever read. Again, if you guys want to follow along. And we encourage you to do so because it's worth a read.
You gotta read it.
Tempting the Titan, a Monster Light Spicy Romance by Fern Fraser. Again, you can get it on Amazon.
Bestseller.
It's like $2 or $3 on Amazon if you want to buy it.
It's a USA Today bestseller.
I want to meet whoever made that decision. I want to meet. Did you
I want
read
him on the show.
book?
I want them on the show, and I want them to do a chapter or two with us to be like, "Hey, did you read the book? Did you though?"
The ultimate dream would be to definitely, as we talked about, like interview one of these authors. That would be the ultimate dream.
Oh my god, I have a million.
Again, I am convinced it is the same person, just with multiple aliases. That is my theory, and I'm sticking to it.
I'm convinced it's AI.
Yeah.
AI has written every single one of the novels.
It's possible. It's quite possible, especially nowadays. Yeah, you could easily. I mean, there's our next money-making skill. You just have AI write these, like, chick lit or whatever the genre is, books for you, and then you just upload them to Amazon and make money off of it. Like, that's what you got to do.
That's what you have to do.
So we will see you guys, next week or something like that. Again, follow. If you're watching the video on YouTube, feel free to hit subscribe or like or don't. Whatever you want to do. But we will see you next time. Sayonara. My sweet suckers.
We outie.
We did that correctly that time.
Yeah, we did. We got